Hey guys, welcome to your live player ratings for Arsenal. 6, Lens nil in the Champions League. We have now qualified for the round of 16. And oh, by the way, we have won the group. What a game. If you guys were watching the watch along, I mean, we were in here hooping and hollering, y'all. It was so much fun. And that is the most fun I've had watching Arsenal play this season. It was the best football that we've played. It was our most complete performance, and it was the best performance from our front five. There's so many things we have to talk about, but the main thing that I feel like needs to be said is that this game is an advertisement to show people why teams do not open up against us in the Premier League. Because if you do, this is what happens. We do not have a lack of quality in our forward positions. We don't have a lack of quality in our midfield, in our attacking eights. We don't have, a problem scoring in terms of like, oh, we don't know how to score. They just decide not to play football, and it's hard to break those teams down. But when teams do what Lens did today and give us all the space in the world, this is who you're facing. A team that will put 6 by you and 5 by you in the first half. That was a sensational performance from Arsenal. Not just from a scoring perspective either, but a professionalism perspective. Defensively, we were really good. In the midfield, we were really sound. We popped the ball around. We had good, really good balance in everything that we were doing. It wasn't like we were attacking and left the back door open. It was like Lens had no way through. And I do want to say that their player Eli Wahi was really, really good on the day. I think that when you look at their performance, the only shining light that they'll have is that player. That player will not be there for very long. He was very good, and he's the first player that I've seen do anything to Saliba the way that he did it, right? But that being said, beyond that, they didn't have anything. And this is a game that I was worried about. I was, just because this is a team that like in their last like 12 or something games hasn't given up more than one goal. They haven't lost a game in their last 12 matches. So for us to beat them 6-0 and to do it the way that we did, that was very like shocking to me. Not because I don't think we're good, because I just didn't think it was on the cards for today, but my goodness, what a performance. Kai Havertz, we may have a left center mid on our hands, guys. I said it before that the goal that he scored for Germany, I thought would benefit us. People said it wouldn't matter, but I think it has. In his last 4 matches for club and country, he scored 3 goals. And he looked really, really good today. Like there was a level of confidence there that we haven't seen from him before. Gabriel Jesus, like when we talk about a player that's like Jekyll and Hyde, he may look, like he's not clinical in the Premier League, but when he gets into Champions League, he might as well be Ronaldo. I mean, the guy just has absolutely everything when he plays in these type of European competitions. Saka on another level. I mean, it's another day, another fantastic performance from our best player, our star boy, our franchise player. Like he just was on another planet. They couldn't live with him, and they better give him the assist for that Jesus goal because he absolutely touched that ball. And last but not least, Tommy freaking Asu. Tommy Kafu is what we're going to start calling him, because that guy, that was the best fullback performance I've seen from an Arsenal player in a very long time, because it was good in both directions, defensively and attacking wise. The pass that he makes for Martinelli's goal, I could watch that on loop over and over and over again. The little clip ball that he put in for Odegaard's goal, the finesse, he was perfect. And he came out at halftime, and you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, he's still my man of the match. He's still my man of the match, even though he came out at halftime, because I haven't seen a performance like that from a fullback at Arsenal in a very, very, very long time. And that's not to shade Ben White or Zinchenko, but that was sensational. It really was. And it's so nice to see Tomiyasu get the plaudits that he deserves. I think Arsenal fans are starting to wake up to the type of player that we have. 18 million. 18 million should not get you a player like Tomiyasu. Absolute steal. And I will always thank Mikel Arteta for pressing the stop button on the Emerson Royale deal and saying, actually, we need to go get Takahiro Tomiyasu, because that guy could end up being a world-class player. He really, really could. He's really coming into his own. And that's not to, knock anybody else's performances. I thought the entire team was fantastic. But Tomiyasu, Ben White better watch out. I said before the game that I didn't necessarily feel that Ben White was losing his spot. But if Tomiyasu continues to put in performances like that, what can you say? So fantastic performance from Arsenal. The biggest win under Mikel Arteta. The best football I think I've ever seen us play. And that might feel weird because last season we were amazing, but I just feel like the balance of the performance was the best thing I've seen from Arsenal. 6 goals, 5 in the first half, scintillating football, masterful counterattacking football, great defensive, work as well. Good save from Raya, good passing out from the back from Raya. Never looked under threat, never looked like we were going to give it up, never looked phased, nothing. And so I do think this, for me, feels like the best performance I've seen from Mikel Arteta's team, for me, because it was the most complete performance we've ever had. And I enjoyed every freaking minute of it, and I cannot wait to rewatch it. What are you guys saying? John P says Elneny, Ramsdale, and the likes are going to get a Champions League start now. We talked about that as well. Like, this gives us the opportunity to rest and rotate some of the players that we're all kind of worried about. Saka is probably somebody that shouldn't play in that game. Rice, Saliba, we really need to look to rotating these guys out. But most importantly, I think it's important to get Ramsdale a Champions League appearance because he helped us get here and he deserves to play in the Champions League at least one time. And so it's a perfect opportunity under no stress, under no threat whatsoever to allow Ramsdale to play in this game. And that's what doing the business helps you accomplish. You can now rotate and rest. And it's something that we haven't been able to do before. Kasim says, David Raya's attitude and calmness on the ball gives our defenders a lot of confidence. I said early on in the game, if you saw Raya's starting position and how he's basically like horizontal or like parallel to our defenders, like our center backs, I think it's really, it's gone under the radar. His positioning is different than Ramsdale's. He plays more like a center back. His starting position is a lot higher. And I don't think that's something that Ramsdale is comfortable with, but it's the reason why Raya is playing. And the longer that he plays without the fan base hating him just for existing, the better his performances will go. I think, personally. I think he was outstanding today. And I think he reserves the respect because it wasn't but a couple weeks ago where people wanted his head, Emilio says, shameless hyping up a win against a farmer club. I mean, it's better than being last in your group or not being in the competition at all, isn't it? So there you go. M. Howe says we need some more respect. Hale says, great performance today. It's about time. Igro says, I bet Arteta still won't play Ramsdale. He should, though. I think it's the right thing to do. Mashab says, does Tommy now start the next few games ahead of White? I think it just depends on whether or not Arteta was starting Tommy because he felt like he was the better option or because Ben White needed some more time to get going, because we know that Ben White was suffering with some sort of injury. And so I don't think it's not clear that Ben White has lost his spot or anything like that. But yeah, if Tomiyasu continues to perform like this, then he should maintain the spot. I do think that meritocracy has to come in at some point. And so I don't think it's like Ben White is finished or anything like that at this stage because he's obviously coming back from an injury. But Tomiyasu was taken off to be rested. So he most likely, along with Zinchenko, is going to start at home against Wolves. And so if he puts in another performance, maybe Ben White has something to worry about. Just maybe. Nocturnal Gunner says, man of the match without a doubt. Tommy is sensational. Kasim says Gabriel Magalhaes' defensive awareness is underrated. He's improving every time he plays. He was really good today, and you saw what it meant when he made that last-ditch tackle because they wanted a clean sheet. And that's just something that we haven't had in years gone past in the Emirates era, is a team that prided themselves on defensive, the clean sheets, last-ditch tackles, things like that. And that little triangle of Saliba, Gabriel, and Rice is like the Bermuda freaking Triangle. you ain't getting out, you know? So I loved his performance today, but it was a typical kind of Gabriel performance. Like, this is who Gabriel is. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that he had a good one. I'm not surprised because he's so good. James says the fullback subs at halftime killed the vibe. I mean, but what's more important, being fresh and ready to go for Wolves, or to beat, you know, uh, Lens 10-0 and potentially risk Tomiyasu or Zinchenko getting injured? I think Arteta made the right decision there. And yeah, it wasn't as exciting. It was never going to be that exciting. When we went up 4-0, like at that stage, like we started to kind of be looser on the ball. And, I just knew when we came out from halftime, it was just basically going to be us just defending and relaxing. And that's what you have to do. Like, I know we wanted to keep going, but I think last year's team would have kept going. And those minutes add up in the legs. You have to press the neutral button at some point and just say, you know what? It's better to rest and recharge the battery for the next game coming up than run up the score in a game that we've already won, So I totally understand that we wanted to keep the party going, but that first half performance, I'm going to hold on to that for a long time. I'm happy that we just saw that, despite the second half not being as exciting. The Arsenal perspective says the subs were correct. Professional approach to the game. You're winning 5-0 at halftime. Come on. It was the right thing to do to take off the players at the times that they were sub. Maha says, do you think we need a new striker? Yeah, I mean, I think we all know that we need a striker, but right now, like, only is the day says Gabriel Jesus was the man of the match. And so, yeah, we do need a striker, but on the day, I think the player that was playing up there deserves a lot of credit, considering that, he's gone through some difficult patches, and today he came up with the goods and he was really, really good. Yeah. Hellman says, wonder if Gabby Magalhaes not being appreciated by Brazil fans benefits us. Ron says, the little bah humbugs are coming out now, aren't they? A little bit of a Scroogeness coming out. Well, we could have gone 10-0. Guys, we were absolutely out of this world today. I have nothing negative to say. You guys know I could find something if you guys want me to, but there was just nothing today. I mean, today was a day to just be happy, Hillbro says, I really like I really like Kai, how he is doing so far. I think we're seeing the beginnings of something. Like, I don't want to gas it. I don't want to gas it too much, but I do think that when we were saying before, where people were like, oh, those performances are this and that. And I was like, no, they're not. They're just okay. His performance level did go up today. Today was the first time that he's played in the left 8 from minute 1 to like the end, where I felt like the game didn't pass him by. He didn't look weak on the ball. He carried the ball. He made really good decisions. He scored a goal. He could have had 2. And so today was the day where it felt like it clicked. Today. What is today? November 29th. Wednesday, November 29th is the day that it clicked. This is the first time that I've actually felt that I saw a midfielder in that position. And he looked good from the first minute to the last. He made a little mistake here or there in possession, but that was because he was trying to make something happen. And that's what we've been asking for. Take a little bit of a risk, show us the skills that you have. We know you can carry the ball. We know you have technical quality, and he showed it today. And so, yeah, like this Kai performance, I'm not trying to say it's like this means that it was, nothing, but this was the day that it felt like we were watching a midfielder and somebody that could really grow into that position. I loved his performance today. And if he could just build on that, listen to me. We may have a left 8. We may. Pelps says, who ordered 6 pieces of wings and no fries? Here to there says, spot on, Jess. Let's not go overboard, but Kai has something to finally build on. James says, am I allowed to call Havertz King Kai? Call it? Yeah, of course. Only as the day says, if Arsenal want to sign the next Thierry Henry striker by January window, is nobody but Kylian Mbappe. I don't know if we're really in this race for Mbappe. We can talk about that tomorrow. Ronnie says, remember Trossard never played. That's crazy too. Like, Trossard didn't even come on. Like, that's crazy. But he did play like the whole game against Brentford. And listen, like, he's played really well, Trossard too, in in his defense. But there's just games where it's like, you weren't out there, and it is what it is. What can you do? What can you do? He can't be on the field all the time. David says it was like Arsenal of old when we killed the games off in the first half. Damn, we was so good. We really were, and like it's almost like we were answering all the haters like questions because Jamie Carragher does that whole thing that goes viral about how Arsenal can't win because they don't score goals and look at where they rank and all this kind of stuff, and completely disregarded the fact that how teams are setting up against us. And that doesn't mean we can't do better, but these players are quality players. They have the ability to score more goals. They just have to figure it out. Every game won't be like today. Most games will not. And anybody that watched today is definitely going to sit in the lowest, nastiest block they can find. But I don't think that you can watch today and Jamie Carragher not think, oh, well, maybe I was a little harsh and removed a lot of context from the conversation, because this is not a team that lacks goals. I said that last season when people are like, we have to get a striker because we don't score enough goals. We scored 88 goals last season, you guys. We don't have a goal scoring problem. But when we get in those games like against the deep blocks, you do need clinical, forwards when you only have one or two chances. That's where we kind of let ourselves down. But if we have space to run and our players can get close to each other and they can combine and they're having fun and they can show their abilities, we're the best in the business. Like, we're the best in the business. So I loved what I saw today. And I think it was a message to the, oh my gosh, this team just doesn't look good as an attacking force. It was definitely like okay, sit down, calm down. We can score goals. Awuku says Arsenal distribute goals all around the pitch. Imagine all the front five scored. It's not that Lens is weak, but Arteta's masterclass game tactics overpowered them. Sweet revenge for beating us before. Yeah, and it's Lens are not a bad team, because remember, before the game, what we were saying is that they haven't given up more than a goal in their last however many, like it's been a lot, like double digits, that where they haven't given away more than one goal, and they haven't lost a game in 12. Like, this is not a bad team. They're not amazing, but they're definitely not a team that they probably were not expecting that butt whooping today. Here to There says the biggest key is no team in Europe has a set of defenders who can match ours in 1v1 duels in space. The only player that's ever made us look some type of way is Eli Wahi, but we are a very good defensive unit. We are very, very good defensive unit. Nashville says, I would not play Ramsdale. His value is higher if he's eligible to play Champions League for someone else. If I was Ramsdale, I would ask not to play myself. Fair enough. Social Join says, you still talking about Carragher, him and Neville are just banter. I'm just saying. Coach says Tommy played so well. James USA Nashville says, I would like to see Timber and Partey back in the squad. Yeah, it would be. The thing is like, I just want to point out the fact that like the first goal came from Declan Rice passing the ball in between the lines to Gabriel Jesus in a central area. Gabriel Jesus wiggled his way through, passed the ball through, and then, all the other stuff happened. And so I just want to point out the fact that like, it's not that Declan Rice cannot pass between the lines. I know that there's a heavy emphasis on like, the reason why we're so shit in the middle of the pitch is because Declan Rice doesn't have the ability to pass it. He does. There's a reason why he hasn't been doing it. And it's probably because we're trying to find the balance between controlling games and breaking down these deep blocks and, limiting danger and also scoring goals. But he can pass between the lines. We have players that can receive the ball in between the lines too. It's just a matter of whether or not they do it on the day and impose themselves on the match, And so as much as everybody wants Thomas Partey back and we want Timber back, I think it's just important to like congratulate and celebrate the players that are actually there doing it, because, those are two big players out. And we look at what we did today, and just a couple of days ago, it was like, oh my gosh, we need to get these players back. Like, look at what the type of performance that these players put in. They clearly have the ability. So we just need to find a way to add some of that into our Premier League performances. It won't be 6-0, but we can definitely score goals early. We can definitely receive between the lines. We can definitely pass between the lines. So how do we adapt that to our Premier League game so that we can score goals earlier and at a higher volume? We can do it. Social Join says Rice is our 6. He's doing his job and getting better and better. This was the original plan. More players, more depth. That's all. Jamrock says no black equals Gunner Masterclass. I don't know what the no block. Oh, I was like, what does that say? No block. Low block means Gunner Masterclass. Lionide says we need Party back. Yeah, we played really well today. Here to there says he deserves UCL minutes. I wouldn't play Ramsdale. Not worth the fuss. Just let Raya settle and string in some performances. That's interesting. I think Ramsdale should play, but maybe that's me being sentimental. And Max says you're 100% in your analysis. Thank you so much. And Ronnie Ron says Kai 29. It clicked on the 29th, and that's poetry. That's poetry. David says yes. This is what I see if you look back. And we had THBK. Well, what I'm trying to say, that back then we scored goals from different players back then, and that where we're going towards now. I see what, okay, I get what you're saying. Igro says, I really enjoyed that game. Would like to have seen the kids to get 5-10 minutes at the end. Lewis Kelly and Nweri. That's probably like the only thing that I feel like people will say, like, why didn't we do that? But other than that, I feel like it was a perfect game. James says 6 goals, 6 different scores, clean sheet. Andre says amazing result tonight, Jess. Exactly. So I want to ask you guys before we get into player ratings, which goal was your favorite and why? I think this would be interesting to see which one you guys like the most. I already said which goal I like the most, but which goal was your favorite and why? And we have so many to choose from. If one of you guys says Jorginho's penalty, I'll slap you right through this computer, okay? So which goal was your favorite and why? I want you guys to get in the chat and let me know what you guys think. While I take a drink of this really cold ass tea that it's like icy. Oh. The first person who says Jorginho's penalty is finished, I'm kicking you out. Let's see. Nabil says, Jess, you were definitely right about the Havertz thing in the international break. Hopefully he keeps that level when the team needs it. Do you think Evan Ferguson is a transfer option? Jesus is great. If Osimhen is an option, so is Ferguson, because they'll cost about the same. Is he who I would choose? Probably not, but that's definitely a conversation for another day that we will have. Sample says, retaining the whole squad will keep everybody fresh, especially in December. So Monk says Odegaard's goal. Sample says Kai because it broke the deadlock. Yeah, first goals are always really important. Chris Vitenio says the first goal was the one that set the pace for the game. Simon says the Martinelli one, it was cold. That one was so good. Social Join says the one with Tommy pass. Monk says Odegaard, great finish. It looks so easy. Juju Slater says Martinelli took the ball a long way. Tojan one says Havertz for sure because he's gotten so much trash thrown at him and now he's soaring and I love it. Gigantesco says Martinelli was my favorite goal. M. Howe says Martinelli. Hobro says Odegaard. Andre says Martinelli. Lionel says a 5th goal, teamwork. Only as the day says imagine Lens has more possession and passes to a 6-0 loss. That's funny. City Lifestyle, thank you so much for your super chat, says Jorginho. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to kick you out. But fair enough. Trini says Martinelli's goal. Did you see Tommy's pass? You guys, who is in the watch along? Do you guys remember how I acted when the Tommy pass? Because I was like, when Tommy pass happened, I almost had a heart attack just watching that. And then I was like, Martinelli, you have to score because this pass has to end with Tommy getting an assist. It has to. So yeah, I did see Tommy's pass, you guys, and I want it on a loop. That was fantastic. I loved it. John Donut says Odegaard. Odegaard's goal will probably go under the radar a little bit, but the finish was so nice. Ron says our defense hasn't seemed as good as it is now since the days of Dixon, Winterburn, Adams, Keown era. Gemrock says Ramsdale could have had his UCL appearance last match since we've clinched a spot into the knockout round. And a new Ethiopia says Havertz coming into the rhythm. Nocturnal says if Kai scored that first header, Tommy would have had 3 assists. Wild. I didn't even think of that. That is such a good point. That was the hat trick of assists right there. TK MG says Kai goal was the one. It unlocked everything. So yeah, I enjoyed the shit out of everything today. And so now we're going to hop into some player ratings. But make sure the 300 of you guys that are in here like the video and subscribe to the channel. That always really helps the channel grow and all that kind of stuff. I don't need to explain, but let's go ahead and jump into some player ratings. This should be fun. Raya. Mr. Raya, probably his best performance in an Arsenal shirt, made the crucial save. And again, like that's the remit of our goalkeeper right now. It's to be really good in possession, to be confident in inviting pressure on, playing almost like a center back, and then making the one save when you have to make it, and making sure that you keep the defense calm. He did all those things today. And it was almost like a perfect performance, really, from him. I don't think he had like one where he kicked it off of the defender's head and but nothing really happened, right? Or against an attacker's head, nothing really happened. But that was a really good performance. I don't know how high you guys are willing to go, but I want to give him like an 8.5. I'm tempted to give him a 9 because he made the one save that he had to make. And I know people are like, well, he wasn't backs against the wall, but most of the time our goalkeeper is not going to be, and like the assignment for our goalkeeper is never really going to be how many saves did you make in the game, because we just limit teams so much. So I think we have to have a different set of criteria for what a good performance is for our goalkeeper. And our goalkeeper, it's not encourage the opposition, good playing out from the back. I think he actually had a part to play in one of our goals as well, and make the one save that you have to make. So yeah, for me, it's like an 8.5/9. What are you guys thinking? It was a really, really good performance. Trini says 8. MD Agency says 8. Chosen One says solid 8.9 for Raya. Juju Slater says 7. Eric Flores says 8.5. Hillbrow says 8. Social Joint says Raya is clear. Samful says Raya 8. David Lapper says all 10 out of 10 for Arsenal. James says composed, all solid 8. Chris says Raya 9.9 easy. World Boss says Raya 9. And MD Agency says Raya saved a lot, but the way he organized the defense in our buildup, exactly. So really good performance from David Raya, and I'm happy to see it because the goalkeeper conversation has got to start getting a lot quieter. Saliba's funny because can we be honest? Wahi cooked him twice on the sideline. So it wasn't like a imperious Saliba performance. You couldn't get by him kind of thing, but it didn't really hurt us because everybody else was good, and it is what it is. So I'm just going to give Saliba, I don't know. I don't want to go too low because it's such a good day. So I'm going to go 8. It's fine. I don't think we have to talk about it too much, but I think this is one of the days where we can say that Gabriel was better than Saliba. Remember how we always have these days where we're like, well, Saliba was better than Gabriel. This day was the day where Gabriel was better than Saliba. So I'm going to give Saliba an 8, but I'm actually going to give Gabriel a 9 because last-ditch tackles, he was really good on the ball, really composed back there. A lot of the defensive headers that he had, like I thought Gabriel really stood out to me as like he was having like one of those Gabriel games where you're like, damn, that guy's really, really good. So I'm actually going to give Gabriel a 9. I think this is a game where he was better than Saliba. Now, he didn't have to go out there to the sideline and defend Wahi, so I don't know if he would have got cooked too, but I thought Gabriel was outstanding today. And I think sometimes it's like we got to give Gabriel yeah, you were good. You were really good today. Chris says Saliba 8, his type of bad day. Yeah, it was like, this is like a Saliba bad day, which still is not bad. Richard says 7, 8. for Saliba. Samful says Saliba 8, though we should start scouting Wahi. Chris says 10. Monk says 7 for Saliba. Here to there says, yes, Gabriel was impeccable, 8.5. Monk says 9 for Gabriel. That block was the best. Charlie says Gabriel 8.9. And yeah, the block. Charlie says 8.9 balled out. And Richard says 10 for Gabriel. Flawless display. We have some more nines and a halves out there as well. So I think everybody kind of saw the same thing, that Gabriel was really good today. Another player that I thought that had a really, really good game today was Zinchenko. I thought he had a quiet, good game. He did good defensively, front-footed, really good in possession. Him and Rice, that connection seems to be gelling a lot more, which is nice to see. And this is quietly like Zinchenko's like fourth really good performance. He had a really good one against Sheffield, really good one against Burnley, really good one against Brentford, and now a really good one in the Champions League. Quietly, his form is going up and up and up and up and up. So I'm going to give Zinchenko an 8.5. I thought a really top quality performance from him. Another one to like mark down. You know, I've been waiting for Zinchenko to get his form back up, you know. Let's see. Richard says 8 for Zinni, quietly efficient. Andre says 9 for Gabriel. Chris says Zin 7.5, didn't nail the offensive role. Sivo says Zinchenko 8.5. Chris says Zinni 8. Chris says great connection with Martinelli, which is important. Here to there says 8 for Zinni, agreed, composed. It's one of those where it wasn't like he did anything spectacular, but it was just another. I think when we go back and watch some of the things that he did, you'll see that like he wasn't taking too many risks. He wasn't all over the place. He wasn't forcing it, but everything that he did was like at the right tempo, at the right pace, at the right time. And those things are really important and usually go underrated because it's not the things that really stand out to you. Where do we even begin? Where do we begin? Where do we even start? Okay. Where did that come from? He's been slowly building this up, I think, because he's had so many good performances over the last he's another one that over the last couple of weeks has been putting together good performance. Kind of started around the Sevilla time, was building up these performances, boom, boom, boom. And he's starting to really show the levels where he can be right in that same category as like our Salibas and our Gabriels and that kind of stuff. Like, again, Tommy is like another Trossard where he's not really squad depth, but he's another player that could be a starter, but just doesn't start because there's another player in the position that's really good. So I don't put him and Trossard in the same category as like Reece and Eddie, right? Because they're right there with the starters. They're actually competing for a starting position. There's just somebody else there that's also very, very good. This performance from Tomiyasu was out of this world. He had 2 assists. He could have had a hat trick of assists. His runs were really good. Defensively, he was really good. The tempo that he was passing the ball at was fantastic. His passing was pinpoint, left, right, left foot, right foot. Everything was just perfect. His short passing was good. His long passing was good. I mean, I need a comp quickly. Like that dopamine that I got from this Tomiyasu performance was like the best crack. Like it was so good. Like one of the best performances from a fullback at Arsenal in a very long time. And Ben White and Zinchenko have had great performances, but I don't know if I've ever spoken about a performance from them like I'm speaking about this one, because it was undeniable how good he was today. He's getting the first 10 I think I've ever given. It was perfect. It was sensational. And you guys, you know what? It was only 45 freaking minutes. Tomiyasu, my man of the match. Get out of here. You were so good. You know? So yeah, I thought he was really, really good. John Donut says Tommy 9. DS Electric says big up Jess in the chat. Dr. Ken says last season Tommy suffered from a second season syndrome. Now he's back. Social Join says Tommy was cooking proper defender. Charlie says man of the match. Tommy balled out today. Oh my word. Sky Kava is out here wishing he never said that rubbish about Tommy. 10 out of 10. Take a bow, Tominator. Are we calling him the Tominator? Are we calling him Tommy? Tommy Cafu, what are we calling him? Like, he needs another slant. He needs another name, like a good one. Die Hard Gunner says, is it okay to say that White needs to worry about his starting position? I think after today, yeah. I think it's not taken, but if I was watching that performance and I was Ben, I would be worried. But I also thought Zinchenko needed to be worried after the Sevilla performance away from home, because I thought Tomiyasu was fantastic then. So yeah, I think, but it's nice for players to need to be worried, right? Andre, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. Next time, put a little comment in there. Charlie says the left back and right back starters got to be worried, man. And just imagine when Timber comes back. Ciao. Richard says Tommy Guns. Moss Sports World says Odegaard magic is back when him and Jesus work in that press. I just want to say something about that too as well. Like, this was the first game in a long time that we've pressed at that level, with both Odegaard and Jesus pressing. You can see it from the first minute. They were pressing harder than they have in a while, but also we haven't had to press as much because they've just given us the ball and said break us down. But fantastic performance from everybody. Aegon says the cross for Kai's goal was from Tommy as well. Sivo says Tomiyasu cooked 10.5. Aegon says the cross for Kai's goal was from Tommy as well. I think it was the one that he didn't score. Moss says we have not had Jesus and Odegaard much this season. Charlie says that Tomiyasu switch to Martinelli was insane. Chosen One says Tommy 10 easy. I agree. Blaze says Tomiyasu 10 man of the match assist to Martinelli was amazing. I love it. I'm so excited about that performance because he just deserves it. You know, I remember when we were talking about this over the summer, who needs to be sold, and some people were saying Tommy, and I was like, nah, you guys, we can't sell Tommy. Like, he just has so much to offer. So much to offer, and I'm so glad that we got him, because I would be devastated if Tottenham had bought him, because I remember when I first saw we were linked to Tomiyasu. I remember I was sitting in an airport. I was sitting in an airport. I was sitting at LAX, and I remember I saw on my phone, I was like, oh, we're linked to this Tomiyasu guy. Who is this? And the first thing I saw was one of those thumbnails that said Tottenham, you know, and Tottenham it was Tottenham Tommy. Could you imagine if Tottenham had got him and ruined him? Y'all, the mess. Lynn says, I feel that having Zinni, Kai, and Jesus being in that team who is used to playing in the Champions League has helped us a great deal. Also, the more the pundits criticize us, the more they urge us on. Philip says, the problem with Tommy is he isn't comfortable on the right. Yo, that sounds crazy. I said that after like the Brentford game, where I was like, you know what? I don't really think he was that great off of the right. Didn't really love what he was doing in attack. He must have heard me. He must have heard Tommy. Do you watch She Knows Arsenal? Because that would make so much sense. You watch She Knows Arsenal after the Brentford game, and you said, I'm going to show her ass. She needs to sit down. Tommy, I am seated. I'm sat all the way down. Kasi says this team is looking like it's just about to click. Exactly. So Tommy 10. Let's keep it moving, or else we'll be here all night. Kivior, really good cameo performance, I thought. Really grew into the game. Didn't really have that much to do, but I thought once he kind of like got his rhythm, he was good. So I'm going to go ahead and just give him like a standard 7. Nothing to write home about, but also like, you know, it's a cameo performance. I mean, it wasn't really a cameo because he came in at halftime, but like we weren't really attacking in the way that we were. So good defensively, did his job. Nothing to like stress out about. Jorginho as well, like he scored the goal, the penalty, which was nice, but I just thought he kind of kept it ticking over and gave Rice an opportunity to take a little rest. So I'm going to give him a 7.5. I'm going to blow through some of the less important ones. Not that these players are not important, but you guys know what I mean. So I'm going to give Jorginho a 7.5. The half is mostly for scoring the penalty. Odegaard, I do think that we saw glimpses of him getting on the ball and doing the things that we're used to him doing. Like, one of the things about Odegaard that I really like is that his little the swivel hip thing that he does, where it's like he goes in one direction and goes in the other one. And so we saw a little bit of his like comfort on the ball. I thought he lost a little bit of that, and it might be because he had a hip injury. He can't do some of the stuffs on the ball that he was doing before if his hip is hurting him. So I don't think that it was like a world-class performance or anything like that. I'm not going to gas it, but I do think that you started to see a little bit more of that form coming back. Brentford was kind of a throwaway, but at least he was out there and getting his fitness back up. Today, you saw a little bit more of Odegaard coming back, a lot more of the things that we know Odegaard to do well, and he scored a goal, which for a player that hasn't played that much, well, he has played quite a bit, but for a player that was out injured for a little bit of time and also hasn't been playing at the peak of his powers, he has scored quite a bit of goals and done quite a bit. So yeah, I'm happy for Odegaard. Glad he got the goal. And let's see, I'm going to give him an 8. I don't think that's too low because there's going to be other people that obviously go into the 9 category. So he scored a goal, but I think his performance overall was less boom than the others that we're going to talk about, obviously. So happy to give him an 8 though. I thought he was really good today. I'm happy that I'm seeing more of Odegaard. Kasim says Ben White 8, Ben White's tan 0.5. Chris says, can we sell Jorginho weekly at this level? We won't even need to sell him. He'll just go at the end of the season. Sid says, sorry I'm late, but what a game. Glad you're here. Andre says Odegaard 7. Chris says Odegaard 8.5 for sick captain. Here to there says 8 for the captain. What a finish for the goal. Richard says Odegaard is a 7 through 8. When he plays well, the whole team does. This is true. Blaze says Odegaard 8. Stivo says Odegaard 8. Charlie says 7.5. So yeah, good performance from him. Not the most sensational one, but we're getting there. We're getting to those ones. Let's talk about Declan Rice real quick because his performance will definitely go under the radar today, but another fantastic performance from Declan Rice. I mean, snuffing out all the danger, getting stuck in. He was just doing the things that he's good at, but also his passing was really good today. And again, like I said, he was passing it in between the lines, which I think is more of a, they're not doing it, then they can't do it. We know that our players can receive the ball in between the lines. We know that Declan Rice can pass in between the lines. He just has to do it, right? And so I don't know if it's just when we're playing against the deep blocks, we don't do it as much. But today he was doing it. He was fantastic. I'm going to give him an 8.5 because I don't know. What do y'all think? 8.5? 8.5? Yeah, I think I'm seeing 8.5s. He did, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give him, no, I'm going to leave it as an 8. I'm going to leave it as an 8. Chris says, I warn you that if you watch Rice highlights, you might give him a 15 out of 10. I can't wait to watch those. Richard says, Rice is a 9 for me, week on week out, always massive, a player's player, an example for every player at the club. Diehard Gunner says, I don't see how White starts ahead of Tomiyasu nowadays. Partey-like performance from Rice, 8.5 is good. Yeah, 8 is good, 8.5, somewhere between there. It was great. Nocturnal Gunner says 8 is good. And Stivo says Basmati Rice 8.5. So yeah, I thought he was really good. I don't know what else to say because he just does it every week. Y'all, do we have a left center mid or what? Do we have a left center mid? Listen, I can't wait to see the comp because I know it's good. He's starting to really come alive now. We saw a little bit of it against Newcastle, I thought. Then he kind of went back a little bit. Now we're seeing more after that goal that he scored against Brentford. He really, I think, needed to build on that hype and that excitement. And he did that. The little move that he did in the corner, that should have been a goal. Where he passed it to Odegaard and Odegaard hit it to his goalkeeper and then they called the foul. That was exactly what you want to see from Kai Havertz because he has the technical ability to do those things. And I was talking to Gabby, who's in the chat now, that if we get any version of the Leverkusen Kai Havertz, we're laughing because that player was generational. And so I think it's about being patient and not necessarily gassing things that aren't good or being overly negative when we don't have to be, but recognizing when a player is showing little bits of improvement. And today, again, on the 29th of November, we saw number 29 we saw it click a little bit for him. A goal, he could have had 2. And he was just, I mean, even combative in midfield. He was winning his duels. I'm scared to get too excited about it, but I thought he was really good today. I really do. I'm going to give him, fuck it. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give him a 9. I don't care. Sue me. Okay. I'm hyped. Let's see. Andre says Declan Rice equals immense. Aegon says 8 for Kai. MD Agency says this man deserves all the good praises. 9. Michael says 8.5. What a game. Zitch says 8.5 for Kai. Andre says Rice 8. Nocturnal Gunner says, let me tell you something. I'm feeling vindication. Kasi T. I cannot wait to look at the timeline and see what Femi is saying, y'all. If you guys have been on the channel, you guys know Femi comes on here and he is an active Kai lover and so, or defender. And so I'm sure the timeline is in tatters. Kasi says Declan, well, he is Declan 9. Andrew says Kai 5, apart for the goal he did F all. I don't know what game you're watching. Stivo says King Kai 9. MD Agency says his movements, passes, positioning was sublime. Not sure why somebody is calling me right now. That was rude. Andre says King Kai is my player, 9. Let's see. Charlie says Kai Dino says Arteta is really cooking with this guy today. Who is this player? 8.7. What a trekker or tecker. Let's see. Jam Rock says Kai Havertz himself must have watched his own highlights from Leverkusen because he needed that side of Kai. Nocturnal Gunner says he deserves a 9. I think he does as well. I think that performance was worthy of a 9. Let's talk about our number 9, Gabriel Jesus. Did you guys like that transition? Yeah. I should be a professional. So I thought one of the candidates for a man of the match performance because his all-around game was really good today. All the things that we love about Gabriel Jesus, he had the flair, he had the physicality, he had the link-up play. Like I said, the first goal came from Rice passing it into him in a tight area. He wiggles away, and then I think Martinelli gets it. Like a bunch of shit happens, but all in all, like Kai puts it in the back of the net, but he just did so well today, I thought. And he looked like a player that was like free of any sort of like anxiety or anything like that. I didn't love what I saw against Brentford, but I was hoping that today he could kind of just like start a new blank slate. Really good in the Champions League so far this season. And so I loved everything about his performance today. He was damn near man of the match for me. And so I'm going to give him, I don't know. What should we give him? Like, I want to give him like a 9.2 or something like that. Like, I think it was like not quite like a 9.5, but probably like a 9.2. So something like that. Really, really good. Really, really good. Chris says brings maturity at the front. We have Jesus with us 9. We have Jesus with us. Andre says Jesus 9. Richard says Jesus a 9. We need this version of him every game. Ali says Jesus 9 out of 10. Here to there says Gabby Jesus, our best forward today, 9. Aegon says 9. Kasi says Kai is beginning to look like the player Arteta was forging. He gets a 9 from me. He worked hard, kept the ball, won headers, and was 65 million down the drain. Kai scores again. Jamrock says 9. Exactly. So Blaze also says Jesus 9. So I think we're all kind of like in the same page that he was one of our best performers today. And just dynamite. Interested what you think about Martinelli's performance. I thought he was really good today. I did. I thought he did the Martinelli things. He won the penalty. He scored a goal. One of his shots was blocked by the goalkeeper, and then Saka put it in the back of the net. I thought he was busy. I thought he was dangerous. I thought he looked like Martinelli. So I'm gonna give him a 9. I thought he was really good as well, just like everybody else. I mean, everybody, you get a 9, you get a 9, you get a 9. Very, very good performance from him. And that's what we need because he's somebody that, I mean, Martinelli hasn't scored in 14 games. We just need him to get going. Once he gets going, there's no stopping Gabriel Martinelli. Aegon says Martinelli 8.5. Ali says Martinelli 9. Kevin Gittin says, I think Saka should. I have not been benched. Here to there says 8.5 for Nelly, just an absolute menace. SG Perment says, howdy folks. Odegaard finish was fire. Chris says Martinelli is always tenning. Jay and Ben says, Mbene says trademark Nelly leaving with something. Exactly. Rabinzo Famano. I don't know. Some version of Fabrizio Romano's name mixed up. Odegaard 6.5. Richard says Martinelli an 8, just an absolute handful on the night. Andre says better for Martinelli 8. Blaze says Martinelli 9. Jamrock says 9. Exactly. So somewhere around a 9, I think. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. Last but not least, unless I'm missing somebody, I don't think I am, but Saka. Saka was on another level today. I don't think his performance will go down as the best performance of the night, but I just felt as though he set the tone from our forwards. I thought he was very good from minute 1. He definitely got an assist for Gabriel Jesus's goal. I won't let that go. He got a goal and assist for himself. He was a menace. He was very good. He also got the pre-assist for Odegaard's goal, I think. So again, like, we're just so used to this level from Saka. And so it's becoming almost like he has to do something way better now for us to even recognize how good he's been. But today he's another one for me that gets like a 9 or a 9.5 or something like that. I just feel like something about Saka's performance from minute 1 really for me was like, we're about to do something, because he was just, I don't know. You guys will probably tell me that it wasn't as good of a performance as I thought it was, but I think it was really good from minute 1. And I thought like I said, I think he set the tone. And the tone that he set was, we're freaking winning this game and we're going to score a shit ton of goals. Okay. So yeah, Andrew says, I give up. It was a good team performance. There was nothing there to convince me that we were brilliant and any individual was superb. Lawns were bad and let us play our game. Damn. I mean, I would hate to have you at a party, Andrew. I'm so sorry. But like, there's no reason to be like that negative about a performance when you win 6-0 and you win your group and all that kind of stuff. I don't think anybody is saying that, that is like, oh, we won the Champions League off of that performance or anything like that. But I think you're forcing it just a little bit, because it's like, who else is doing that? Everybody has bad teams in their group, but who else is beating teams 6-0 like that? So I think if everybody was doing this, then you could say, oh yeah, well, it's nothing. But it's not easy to beat teams 6-0 in Europe. That's why it doesn't happen very often. So yeah, not really convinced of this like forced like negativity thing, because it's not like anybody is saying that that's like the end goal, like we're done. But it's our first time back in the Champions League for 7 years, and you're going to have a hard time keeping Gooners from being excited about beating somebody 6-0. It feels a little forced when you think about it that way, doesn't it? Aegon says 9.5. Saka easy 9.5. Charlie says world-class Saka. Costi says Gabriel Martinelli gets a 9 from me. Worked hard and did his thing. Ally says Starboy is another 9er. Here to there says Saka 8.5. Just keeps producing, another top performance. Richard says Saka 8. Chris says, I think Saka is working on the double team problem he talked about, another 10er. Richard says, I'm over the moon tonight with the team. No negativity tonight. It just feels like you're just trying too hard to be mad about something that you don't have to be. Andre says, Starboy 9.5. I agree. I think about a 9.5 is probably what I would go with. And like I said, like, I don't think this is a day for macro or anything like that. That's what player ratings are for. We're rating the actual game. And it was a sensational performance. A lot of these players haven't even played in the Champions League before. This is the first time. So you're going to find it's going to be very difficult to find something to be upset by or like try to downplay the performance. Because again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. and everybody is not doing this. So there's a reason why. Aegon says Saka 7 goals and 10 assists in all comps. Blaze says Saka 9. Lons tried to bully him when Jesus scored the goal. Here to There says, I'm not even giving Arteta a 9.5 tonight. Only wish it was one of the youngsters could have got on. I'm even giving Arteta a 9.5 tonight. Social Join says Saka gone Saka, pretty standard Saka performance. Exactly. So, and on that, I do think that, Arteta did a good job, but ultimately it was the players that just went out there and did what they can do when there's space and things like that. So Arteta gets a pass for me, like a 9 or whatever. It's hard to rate Mikel Arteta when in games like this because it's like we've smashed them, but great game, a good way to end the group stages for us, because obviously we have another game, but we had Sevilla did not win today, so it wasn't even like we had the cushion of like, well, we're into the round of 16, like we act like winning, we had to do it on our own. And so I love the mentality, I love how we did it, I love everything about today. Is a day to watch the comps, watch the reactions, watch everything, because in football you only have so many moments to like really sit back and like be excited about things, and like there's no reason to not watch all the content and just soak it in, especially anytime you get to see Tommy do whatever he did today, because that was a fantastic performance from him. So we go to the weekend against Wolves in a good position, I think, probably feeling good about the performance that we had today. And so it's a good day for Gunners. Morning show tomorrow, or something will come out tomorrow morning, but I'm going to record something with Pedro Legros from the Arsenal Opinion, and that will come out on Friday during the day. So that will be the next like big pod where we'll probably talk about everything from the refereeing to, transfers to this game to Wolves. That'll be kind of like a catch-all. So if you guys want to let me know what you want us to talk about, you guys know where to like DM me, email me, whatever. I'll put a post on Twitter as well if you guys want to ask questions. And then normal things for the weekend, player ratings after the Wolves game, and then post-match pod on Patreon on Monday. So make sure all 230 of you guys in here that are still in here, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy today. Don't be a Scrooge. Don't be a Scrooge, Andrew. Don't be a Scrooge. Just have fun. And it doesn't have to mean anything, but today it means that we're the best team in the world. Enjoy it. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.